Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know I'm here to do. I'm here to
Rock!
Joining me as always is mi amigo Xavier Guerrero.
What?
And on the ones and twos, to know him as love him, Jay Nice, Johnny Woodard.
What's happening, buddy?
Johnny, when you just going to go by Jay Nice, just like he does Xavier Guerrero, so when they put you on Epstein's flight logs, we know it's not real.
That's probably not going to happen. Because
Okay,
I would have to explain to people why I was called that, and it would be weird.
So yeah, dude. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed the big 5-year anniversary show. A lot of great things are going on here. A lot of great things. Live shows up the wazoo coming. The Hammer of the Gods tour 2022 is coming, and it's kicking off big time. Let's see where I'm at. I'm in Simi Valley on the 13th, right? Mm-hmm. Then I'm at Buffalo. I'm with my good friend Howie Dewey, who is on Cash Daddy's coming up, right?
Broken Sim coming out.
Oh yeah, excuse me. He is from Cash Daddy's. He's on Broken Sim.
Yeah, it probably will be out by the time this episode is. So check it out.
So go check it out. It's
Broken
real
Simulation.
funny. It's a long one. It's a telethon. I thought we were raising money.
We
we're just gonna do an hour. 3 hours later, you know.
It's a problem, man.
So we're gonna be at Buffalo at Helium's January 21st, 22nd,
And
the 20th. And 21st, 22nd. That's in Buffalo. And then the following weekend, Tinfoil Hat's first big show. It is going to be January 28th at the
Harvell's in Long Beach.
2 shows. First show stand up. Second show is the Swarm Tank, where you get to compete. You can pitch your favorite conspiracy to your favorite conspiracy podcasters and conspiracy theorists. And guess what? Jay Nice has agreed to be there doing stand-up, joining us. And guess who else is going to be there? The man, the myth, the legend himself. Ryan Off the Grid Davis will be there. He's going to join us live during the Swarm Tank, okay? And then the following night, a bunch of us, I don't know if Johnny's going to want to go out to Bakersfield, but the rest of us will be in Bakersfield, and we will be doing The Well. Again, 2 shows. That's the 29th of January, a stand-up, and then Swarm Tank. So it's going to be great. These shows are great. And then I'm just going to say, for right now, tentatively is booked. February 19th is the first show for the Conspiracy Social Club live debate show, stand up and then debate in Las Vegas at the same place we did the 500.
Oh, nice.
So myself, Brian Callen, we're going to have our first debate show
Oh,
ever.
I might have to come out for that. That sounds awesome.
You know, we're going to have our live debate show.
Dude, I'm going to come see that.
Bring
for sure.
love. It's all love.
I might bring my girlfriend to that, actually. That would be fun.
I'm ready to watch him take all the L's.
That'll be live. We're doing deals right now. That'll be February 19th in Las Vegas, the first show. We're going back to where we did the 500th, okay? New t-shirt up, man. Woo. Go check it out. New t-shirt, PsyOps versus everyone, okay? Or everybody? Is it everybody?
Everyone.
PsyOps versus everyone. I love the shirt. That's available, t-shirt or as a hoodie, okay? Get that. That's great. Great way to support the show. If you're looking for the shirts, just go to samtripoli.com. Click on the Sam Tripoli or the Tinfoil Hat T-shirts.com banner. And below that is the Conspiracy Social Club banner as well if you want to get some shirts from that show as well. Do you have any live shows coming up?
Nope, we good to go.
Okay, and then just go, please, check out our Rockfin. ROKFIN.com, and you'll be able to see all of our premium content. Every show I do, premium content wise, is available on Rockfin for $10. All of it. All my shows, anybody's on the show. For $10, you get all my shows. You get all Whitney Webb show, Jimmy Dore show, Jason Burmese show, and all of the wonderful people on Rockfin. Everybody you miss. Eric Dubé's on there. Everybody's on there. Everybody's on Rockfin. Go check it out. Enjoy it while we can. You know, it's like it's a real outlaw area. And guess what? Outlaws build everything. So go check that out. And my final thing is my GoFundMe should be up by the time this comes out. I'm going to have the exact link, but I'm raising money to animate my special. And I would love your help. And I'm putting together the tiers and so that you can be a part of it and see your name up on the screen when you watch it. So all that is good.
Can I get my face in the animation as one of the characters? Is that one of the tiers?
Yeah. I do a couple gay jokes. You'll be every guy in the bottom.
Cool, man. I'm down for that.
Done deal, dude. Maybe I gotta see if there's time to put people's faces in
Hey,
stuff.
well, there's going to be a...
That's the early bird thing. If you got to get it early,
Yeah.
if you want to be in it.
Like $1,000 you get in.
Yeah, because you're going to be doing stand-up to people, so there has to be a crowd of faces.
That's a great point.
Hey,
Yeah,
that could be
dude.
their faces.
There we go.
Oh, shit.
Bang, bang, pow! Bang, bang, pow!
Can I be Silver Robot Guy? That's all I'm asking.
It's not in the joke, but I'll have you
I
sitting.
thought, okay.
That's
Yeah.
my older spec. I'm
Yeah.
doing for the one I just put out.
Oh, I thought you were animating the Viper Room thing.
No, I'm animating.
Yeah.
I'm doing the
one that
Dallas
Johnny
one.
shot.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I got you,
yeah.
okay.
And then I'm getting close to being able to do another one, but I'm in no hurry at this point. So I love you all very much. This is a great show. We have Robert Bernstein on, and it was a conversation that flew. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it and enjoy the show.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the
All right, let's get into it. Very excited to have this gentleman on. A lot of people enjoyed my appearance on Part of the Problem, Dave Smith's Part of the Problem, and I got a ton of great feedback on it. This guy was one of the stand-ups in it, and he was my brother in Conspiracies on stage, him and I lecturing these people, dropping the hammer of the gods on these unsuspecting fools. I'm very excited to have him on. Please welcome Robert Bernstein. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, and dude, that live show is a ton of fun. We got to do more of those.
Tell us a little bit about you, for those who aren't familiar with you and your podcast. Tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. So I got two podcasts. I do Part of the Problem with Dave Smith. We're 3 times a week. We're kind of the biggest libertarian podcast. And then I got my podcast, Run Your Mouth, which I research the hell out of a lot of important topics. Then I just talk a bunch of nonsense. So a little bit of everything.
It sounds like you're doing some fun stuff. And when you do fun stuff and you're learning, it's not real work, right? It's like people think I'm a crazy person because I got 3,000 podcasts and stuff like that. But each podcast is specific to something I want to learn in my life. So it's not really like a lot of work. Yeah, sometimes I get burnt out here and there. But, you know, for the most part, I love it because I'm always learning something, and I think that's important. Like, I would love to sit down and read books. I'm reading about, Dulles right now and what a piece of shit that guy was and what he did to our country. And I enjoy reading it, but I enjoy podcasting more. I'd rather talk to the author than actually read the book. I read because, I'm told that's what intellectual people do. So I try to keep that skill going, and I would like to be able to pass that skill on to my daughters. But I just want to say something about Dave Smith and why I love him very much. And I love your show very much is because I think Dave's a really great at, not wanting to identify as a conspiracy theorist, maybe not even being a conspiracy theorist, but open-minded to that the possibility that there are quote-unquote conspiracies out there. Now, Dave being a guy who you see constantly railing against the two-party system in politics and the military-industrial complex, I would say he's a conspiracy theorist. There are people who don't think that. Scott Horton is really good at his job, but I always notice that Scott is so hard to shoot down quote-unquote conspiracies because there's a group of people, and I love Scott. This is not negative against Scott, because I could say the same thing for a long time about Jimmy Dore, but Jimmy Dore seems to be more open to it, and Abby Martin, who I think is fucking wonderful. They're very scared to be labeled in the conspiracy world. But Dave Smith, and I love everybody I mentioned, Dave Smith seems to always be like, well, I might not be into that, but I'm open-minded to that. It's possible. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first, with what you were saying about actually doing your homework and reading or having people on to discuss these issues, I think you and I are a similar kind of crazy, where I kind of need to work. And sometimes I find it shocking where I'm sitting down, I'm reading medical journals, I'm trying to understand the stats behind these vaccines are a fictional lie and aren't going to help anybody. But, we can get into that in a bit. But sometimes I didn't do well in school. So sometimes I'm shocked by the fact that I'm so motivated by the fact I'm doing the podcast. I'm trying to understand things. I'll actually sit down and read. And I'm like, this is good. I'm actually using my brain, not just doing a bunch of drugs. Just speaking to the doing your homework part, I think you might be that kind of crazy also, where it's like the work is the reward, and the fact that I actually find something that gives me the ability to focus, I enjoy. Per Dave, I think he's just open-minded, and he knows that the government's our enemy. So sometimes, he might not go as balls out deep that, hey, I think, Bill Gates is in a back room with someone else and they're making these decisions. But he's very open to the fact that there's evil there, and he knows that there's evil there. So, I think he's just very open to any of these ideas.
And that's why I love him. Of course, when I go on any show, like I did I did Legion of Skanks when they did on New Year's last year. It was a lot of fun. And it took me forever to get paid by Lewis, but that's a different story. No, I love Lewis. Lewis is the Vince McMahon of podcasting. He's so good at what he does, and I will always show him that love and respect, because it's not easy what he does. But back to this whole, so I get brought on, and Lewis always is like, okay, what's the big conspiracy? And as soon as I was about to talk, Michael Bisping jumps in. He's like, it ain't that fucking flat earth. And, and I'm like, who are you looking at saying that? But that was a different story. But, and then they start debating the flat earth and how retarded the flat earth people are in their eyes. And then Dave said, listen, I don't know what it is. And he said something and it really let me know what type of person Dave is. He goes, I don't know this or that, but I know that those flat earth people do way more research than anybody else. And that really resonated with me, because I'm like, that guy, whatever you want to say about the flat earth people, you cannot say they haven't done their research, and they haven't, whether you agree with the research or not, that's another thing. But they are coming to every conversation locked and loaded, dog.
Also, you got to respect the personality. If you're a flat earth person, you're literally denying everything about the way our reality is portrayed to us. We are not on a sphere that's floating through space. They've lied about everything to the point that the earth is actually flat. Think about how open of a mind that person has to have. And that's what Dave loves, because, if someone's got that much of an open mind to say that I don't even think we're on a ball, right? They're going to be pretty open to the idea that government's lying to them and that they're the enemy.
Well, I'm really hoping, and we'll get into some Corona stuff, but I'm really hoping that this pulling back of the curtain on the science community will open people's mind, not that the Earth is flat, because again, I haven't gotten high enough to tell you. Okay, I'm my best friend is the face of flat Earth.
But that's where it starts.
Well, okay, we can't hear him. Yeah, go on.
But that's where it starts.
That's
if you start believing that COVID's not real and they've all been lying to them, you start being like, well, is the flat Earth real? So it starts getting real weird when it starts with there, and then you go deep. That's way too deep. But
and then I love that what Robert said, which is it's okay, what else are they lying to me about? For me, it's flat earthers are really deep on that, but for me, it's okay, if they're lying to me about this, what else are they lying to me about? And that's how you end up just going deeper and deeper and deeper, to the point where you may not be I might not be, it's a flat earth, but I go, hey dude, They lied to me about all this. Why wouldn't they be lying to me about that?
It might not be flat earth, but it ain't what they're saying.
100%.
Married to the ball.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Are you married to the ball? That means, are you 100% sure it's a sphere?
What's your take on it, Robert? Because I'm a realm guy.
Okay. It starts just getting a little bit too weird to me. So I'm not saying that it's not true. I don't understand the incentives behind that lie. Like, I don't understand why the powers that be would benefit from convincing us we're on a sphere when we're actually on a flat plane. So I don't really understand why they would have invested that much into it. And it seems like it just seems like a lot would go into that lie. So it seems weird to me, but that doesn't mean I'm not open to it. And I haven't researched it enough to say, hey, this is a bunch of bullshit.
Do you, are you at, the answer to, in my humble opinion, to that, and this is just my perspective. I'm not trying to convince you of anything, but if you're asking me why would they lie about that, to me, even if we're not even going to talk about flat, just talk about like the rewriting of our history is, with the last episode we just did with this indigenous woman, it's just like, it's really about disconnecting you from how special you are and your connection to source, which gets to conspiracy leads to spirituality. It always, if it's done correctly, it leads to that. So, the whole theory that we're on a ball hurling through space and all these things are doing this, the whole thing has been to talk like, you're a speck of shit, dog. That's what they want you to think. You're a speck of shit hurling in a rock, and that at some point these aliens will come in in ships, and they're going to be so powerful that you're going to have to suck all their dicks, dog. You're going to have to suck all their dicks, and there's nothing you could do. You're going to be sucking alien dicks.
But even if you want like a more material motivation,
is alien dick going
to?
What's that?
No, I was going to ask you, I mean, it sounds like he had a smart question. I was just going to ask if you thought alien dicks would be easy to suck. Like, are they quick to get off? Are they a decent size to get in your mouth? Or do you think it's going to be a whole contraption? You really got to work it?
Well, since they look so much like Asians and Asian writing looks like alien writing, I would say they're tiny dicks. That's what I'm thinking.
I think they're beyond reproducing biologically.
Oh, you don't think they even have dicks?
No,
it's like
smooth down there like Ken dolls. Yeah.
Whoa, Johnny.
Yeah. But no, what I was going to say,
you might have to just rub it.
The motivation, if you need like a more traditional motivation for faking it, and I don't think the Earth is flat, but NASA is a hell of a way to launder money through the government, just to funnel money to nothing and spend it in dark programs.
The question becomes, go on, Robert. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I'm on board with your concept of if they can just disconnect us from truth, they kind of keep us more in their consumer system. Like, I know I was never a good student, but part of that is because it took me till I got out of school to realize they were lying to me. And there's a discomfort of just sitting somewhere and know that you're being lied to. So there is something very interesting about that idea to me that, like, if they're just disconnecting us from the reality of even our physical reality, that we're actually on a flat plane, like our entire existence kind of is constructed around a lie or an illusion. There's going to be some element of discomfort there, which definitely fuels kind of the consumerist culture that they're looking for. So I could buy that as being an incentive for, the big lie.
So, you bring up school. I'm like you, brother. I never was better than a C+ student. I'll lie to people, say I'm B- just to sound better. But now as I kind of learn this whole thing about kind of what you're talking about with school and all that stuff, I'm kind of like, I was C+ student. My entire fourth grade, I spent, lunchtime in detention hall. I had to sit while all the kids were playing. I had to sit. And I had to sit in the hallway because I wasn't playing along, and that was. And it's not that the teacher was a bad person. My parents were both teachers. They were trying to do their best, but they were working in a system that rewarded those who comply. What does that sound like? And punishes those who don't comply. As much as you can punish a fourth grader, right? But it really was about just like, hey, man. It's like we're doing it this way. If you don't do it this way, you're in detention. And so now I would just look around and like, man, I mean, I'm killing it right now in life. I work very hard from 7 a.m. till about midnight. I'm going all day. but it's things I love. But man, I'm thriving right now. And you kind of look at like not people in my class. I'm not talking about anybody. I just had my reunion. Everybody's doing well. But when you look at like a lot of things like the complying people, they comply because they think that there's going to be a reward at the end. And then I think at some point they just find that they're trapped. I mean, like, look how many jobs you get where you just comply. And now you're in a dead end job. And yeah, you got some benefits, but you're not happy. If you lose that job, your life is fucked. And it's like, you know, I'm sure there was time on plantations where there was somebody go, hey, dude, we can run right now. We'll be fucking free. And there's some people like, I'm just going to chill here because this is my job. I know my life and I know how easy that is. And I think that's we're seeing this play out in real time.
Well, dude, that's the thing. They burned Kanye for saying, you know, that slavery was like a mindset. And
dude, I mean, there's so much with that.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of like you, Sam. I had like a 2.0, 2.5. And I still got accepted into a college and they wanted me to get a loan out. I'm not supposed to go.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I barely passed high school and you want to send me with smarter kids?
But they want to cripple you with a student loan. That's a real thing.
No one told me don't go. Instead of saying don't go, hey, go do what your dad does, go be a plumber, they were like, no, go. You need to go. If you don't go, your life's going to be ruined. No, I went to community college. I was like, I did that, figured it out to say my thing, save myself a fuckload of money.
To be clear, nobody's saying that everybody chose slavery just in case this gets clipped out. Yeah, I mean.
Good yeah. I'm just saying. I'm sure there's some people that were like, I'm not running anywhere. I'm just gonna chill out. Sure. This is where I'm comfortable with, right? It's like, okay, let's give another example. How many people are institutionalized in prison? They get out, they commit a crime just so they can go back. Hey guys, I want to tell you about our brand new sponsor, Diet Smoke. That's right. How many people here eat edibles? I think I used to eat edibles. Okay, you know, you don't eat edible if you want to get high. You eat edible if you want to go into a coma. Right? That's where it is now. You eat the edible, you go straight to retarded, and you can't even enjoy yourself because you think the government's coming and it's just getting weird in your head. Well, guess what? You don't have to worry about that anymore, okay? Because our good friends at Diet Smoke, that's dietsmoke.com, guess what? They have the perfect medium high, okay? It's called Diet Smoke, and it comes in delicious Delta 8 THC gummies. Diet Smoke isn't light, it's just right, okay? That's what we're talking about, dude. Delta 8 is simply a slightly less potent THC. There we go. All right, the THC that you're probably most familiar with is Delta 9, okay? And while both are natural to the cannabis plant, Diet Smoke extracts their Delta 8 from hemp, all right? Some people may call this a loophole. I call it a secret recipe for getting smooth, stable, and most importantly, legally high, okay? Now you're probably asking yourself, does Diet Smoke really get you high? Of course. The high you get with Diet Smoke is best described somewhere between chillness of CBD and classic stone feeling you get from regular weed, okay? Plus, Diet Smoke comes in 2 delicious flavors. Blue raspberry, and watermelon. Now, I know Johnny's girl likes blue raspberry, and Xavier likes watermelon. Am I right?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I say try them both, bro. When CBD isn't enough, okay, and traditional THC is too much, enjoy the smooth buzz of Diet Smoke, okay? Each gummy is infused with 10 milligrams of Delta 8 THC derived from American-grown hemp. You know what they say? Buy American, get high with American. Delta 8 gummies are low in sugar, fat-free, and delicious, okay? Oh, did I mention they're legal? Go to dietsmoke.com. Use the promo code SAM for 20% off your order. That is SAM, okay? Dietsmoke.com. Promo code SAM for 20% off. Diet Smoke, Delta 8, THC gummies are not for use or sale to people under 21. Please use responsibly. So you're in the New York area, Robert. I don't want to give your bunker away where you are, but so your thoughts on what's going on with Epstein and all that stuff?
Oh, well, right off the bat, I want to know, where's that safe? The FBI went into that guy's house. They took a safe out. How is that not relevant to this court case right now? And how does the FBI get to go into some guy's house, take away the safe? I mean, you and I know what's in that safe. It's all the blackmail footage. It's all there. But how does the government just get to go in there, reclaim the object, and just put it away? And then when these court cases come up, how is that not public knowledge? That is my single biggest question. Kind of going into this court case. My take on Epstein, though, I think he might even be alive. He might be hanging out in Israel. That guy was Mossad, CIA. That's why he had all that Wexner money. And this whole thing is so funny that the FBI basically lost a Freedom of Information Act on why the guy wasn't prosecuted the first time. And then they pulled that great move where it went out to the public and they went, we're just as upset as everybody else. They always do that. And then all of a sudden he's in jail, and then all of a sudden he's supposedly dead and they don't have the footage. I call it bullshit. Either they killed him or he's hanging in Israel right now. He's in a palace with kids and loving his life.
Or is he in Antarctica? I mean, like, I think there was that flight took off that they said was his plane, flew all the way to Antarctica. It's definitely possible.
Oh, he crossed the ice wall. He crossed the ice wall on Flat Earth. They reclaimed their asset, the lizard people.
So what's very interesting is there's a lot going on with this, right? And it's just like, so for me, man, I think this is a wonderful time to be alive. I got in an argument with Dana today. Like which sounds like it's another day, right? So
unbelievable,
right? I can't believe that.
Say it ain't so.
But we were having a discussion because the FDA just came out right now, and they were like, they're trying to cover their own ass because people are like, maybe we don't need the FDA anymore. But they're like, we got lied to by Pfizer. Pfizer lied to us, and now it's 71 times more likely to have a heart attack. And the research shows you're killing 2 people for saving 1, right? And I sent that to Dana because no matter what I'm right about, she just can't stop watching MSNBC, no matter how much they lied to her. And I just think all is being revealed right now. I think it's a wonderful time to be a conspiracy theorist. And the point of that rant was like, I wish I was wrong. There's a part of me that wishes I was wrong. Like, I wish the medical community was working together to keep people healthy and alive and get us through this deadly pandemic that's killed zero homeless people and 0 midgets.
Like, okay? How great would it have been if it was no boosters? Just one vaccine.
Well, they got greedy, dude.
Exactly.
They got greedy when they went after kids. So, so my question.
By the way, I don't think they got greedy. I think they're trying to get rid of the control group. I don't think they want any evidence of an unvaccinated population to compare in 20 years from now when you start seeing side effects.
So they're going to kill off the vaccinated or the unvaccinated?
No, it's not necessarily even a kill off. It's that they don't want an unvaccinated group of people to exist on planet Earth, so that if there are health ramifications from taking the vaccine, you won't be able to look at like the large numbers. In other words, like if 20 years from now, people all of a sudden start dying at age 65 instead of 85, and you start seeing, or like there's more heart attacks, there's more Alzheimer's, they don't want a group of unvaccinated individuals that you could go, well, the unvaxxed are fine. In other words, they're trying to erase like, any potential ability to notice that there would be actual long-term health effects. They're getting rid of they're getting rid of the unvaxxed population. That's what they're trying to do.
By what? Camps? Is that your opinion?
No, not by camps. They're trying to do what they can to make sure that everyone gets vaccinated, but they might not get away with it.
Well, they need to fucking start giving that shit to other countries because they won't give out the IP.
What do you mean?
The intellectual property.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, like, you're looking at Israel. I mean, if you want to ever see that, like,
why would the Jews do it to themselves?
Yeah,
why would they do that?
Fucking nuts. And like, so now we start getting into what's really going on. So there's a couple things, like, it's like there's always been this talk in the conspiracy community about 2 things. One is that the CIA is trying to infiltrate the FBI, and a lot of the stuff you're seeing about the covering up of pedophiles and all that shit seems very CIA-ish, right? Because the CIA, in my humble opinion, is ran by Jesuits, ran by the Vatican, and that's why they use.
That's why they're so into kids?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
100%. That's why they, like, dude, the original, and Brian Callen fights me on this all the time, but the original intelligence group was the Jesuits. They used blackmail and they infiltrated people to control the royals, to control the Vatican, to do all this stuff. This has always been their game plan. And, you know, it was always used through sexual, quote unquote, perversion, right? Which before used to be cheating on your wife. Then it became homosexuality. And as everybody got used to it, now it's pedophilia. So it totally makes sense that this rogue group of, like, if you look at Peter Stork, came out, he was a double agent. He was both FBI and CIA. They said the same thing about Edward Snowden.
Wait. Peter Stork, isn't that the guy who was EcoHealth?
No, wasn't Peter Stork the guy that was like we're gonna Lisa Page, right? He was the guy who testified. You remember?
Similar names. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
And it turned out he was like what, sheep dipped? Is that what it's called? Where you're both something like that? I forgot what the name of it. Like, it's a certain name of it, but he was both. And then you just get into like all this shit, like the FBI, like covering up stuff. It just seems like, because the CIA technically is not allowed to be working on American soil. So if you can't do it, what's a company or a division that can? The FBI. How do you get the FBI to do what you want? You infiltrate the FBI. That's what they've done. That's what Jesuits have done since the beginning of time.
I got an Epstein kid question for you, because I'm going to assume you're the expert on this. Why wouldn't you just go with girls from third world countries? I feel like there's so many off the grid kids that you could just be snagging up. Like, you could have a parade of off the record kids. They're probably endless in Brazil. Why are you taking American like 14, 15 and 16-year-olds where, you know, there might be a track record? Like, why wouldn't you just pick up some kids in Brazil? You fuck them and throw them in the ocean.
I think
like,
they did.
Why wouldn't you do it that way?
I think they did.
Yeah.
Oh, they just got greedy with the Americans.
100%.
It's like that was the fetish where they're like, you know, Bill Clinton's like, listen, I'm done with these brown kids. Yep. Like, can you get me, like, can I get a white kid every once in a while?
Well, you don't think it's the thrill of knowing that they're hooking up with the American citizen that's underage? You don't think at one point it's past just hooking up with the fucking little boy or something?
I need a girl that gets cultural references. Yeah. Damn it!
You know, well, it's like there's a lot of crazy shit going on. So, according to some study, and you could take it for what it is in this article, that the Chinese did a consensus of their country, and they can't account for 12 million children.
What?
For like 20 years ago or 30 years ago. They can't account for 12 million children. Think about that. And, you know, it's like, why do the Saudis pay for like white Instagram models from the United States to go over there, and they pay them like 50 grand for the weekend, and they just take dumps on their chat? I don't know what it is, but there's just this.
It's the thrill. It's, you can get a hooker in TJ and not go to jail, or you can get it in San Diego and go to jail. It's literally the thrill. It's like, I'm already here.
If you're an IG chick, 50 grand, is that enough to go over to Saudi Arabia and know that you might not be coming back? Because you're off the grid at that point. Those people can just keep you. Like, what makes you think you're just going to take one dump on their chest and leave?
I see. I mean, dude, that's a great question. If you could look this up, Johnny, there's actually, I think, a picture out there that shows Lindsay, what's her name?
Lohan?
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan getting drilled by this guy from behind. And that, like, Paris Hilton, famous for going over there, they just want to pay. Because, like, dude, the Saudis have so much money. Like, if they're staying in your hotel, they'll pay for you to get rid of all the furniture and redo all the furniture so it's furniture they like to sit in. That's how much money they have. So the notion of throwing a white chick from America into and take a shit on her chest doesn't mean anything to them. And maybe some of them all don't come back, but there are when they're going.
Well, hold on, now I'm confused. Are they paying to get shat on or to shit on? Because I think you flipped it there. So
no,
the Saudi Arabian prince is
they shit on the girls on their chest.
Oh. Wait, I thought it was like getting the chick to shit on you. Why would you want to shit on some nice girl's chest?
No. It's called porta pottying.
That's John McAfee.
Yeah. Yeah, they like to porta potty these girls.
God rest his soul.
Yeah. It's because you get to degrade a parasite. It's like, it's not like I just want to get my dick sucked. I want to be able to take a dump on this chick.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, dude.
I don't get that. Like, dude, I'm embarrassed to have a lady smell the bathroom after I walked out. I can't imagine the confidence after eating one of those fucking halal meats and then just splattering that on some lady's tits. Humans, that sounds terrible.
They're not humans. So
they just look at us different, and that's the whole thing. And Well, Johnny and I were just talking about how like sex is like, I feel like we got to a point where like the human species has won survival of the fittest, and now like we're just getting into weird shit, and it's like literally, but you know, it's like, you know, BDSM is very prevalent everywhere. You got girls who are like telling you like you're into all this stuff, and like it's gotten a couple like people in trouble. The guy from Barstool Sports,
Trevor Bauer.
These girls are like, I like it rough, and then they smack them around. They're like, I didn't like it that rough, and they try to sue the shit out of them. It's like it's chaos right now. But you know, I mean, I just think these guys like they really get off on watching these girls that like in our pop culture are treated like just like God. You know, it's like, think about the height of Paris Hilton's power, like at the height of it, right? And then you could bring her over and you just drop a deuce on her. Like there's a power to that.
Oh yeah.
Right. You're saying fuck you to all of American culture at that point.
100%, dude. Yeah. 100%. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends at BlueChew. BlueChew. We're going to drop the hammer on you. BlueChew.
I don't like how you're pointing at me when you're talking about dropping the hammer.
Rock hard.
Point the hammer on XG.
Bonus for Americans. Made by Americans for Americans. BlueChew's for you.
Okay.
And the shit you do, whatever it is, that's up to you. We won't judge you.
That's in the copy, huh?
That's all in the copy. Guys, BlueChew is a unique online service that has the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, man. Buy the chewable tablet, man. I love it. I love to chew it, and I love to snort it, okay? You can take it.
No, you don't snort this. This is not a snort.
Don't snort it unless you're a veteran like me, but don't snort it.
Do not snort.
Do not snort it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, you take it anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead and be ready whenever the opportunity arises. I like to play boner chicken with my friends, okay? We'll take it and we see who has the more awkward boner at the more awkward time. You're at church, boner, okay? That's how it goes.
Never drink anything before you take a flight with Sam Tripoli.
Yeah, Boner City. The process is simple. Sign up to BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you receive your prescription within days. It's just that simple. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in lines at the pharmacy, huh? It's garbage. Waiting in line, right? You see a hottie, and she's like, what are you here for? I'm like, oh, I got BlueChew. You can't get boners? I can get boners now thanks to BlueChew, dude. BlueChew tablets are made in USA, okay, and prepared and shipped directly to your door in a discreet package. Mine comes with fireworks, okay? That's how amazing it is. All right, so it's real simple. This is what we need you to do. We got a special offer, special deal for our listeners, all right? Try BlueChew free when you use our promo code TINFOIL at checkout, and it's just pay $5 in shipping. That's it. Try BlueChew.com, promo code TINFOIL to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details, important safety information, and we thank BlueChew for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you, BlueChew. BlueChew, we're dropping hammer on you. So there's a lot going on with this trial right now, right? This Ghislaine Maxwell trial, and like, so just going back to why don't they just get foreign kids? It's because there's just something about like going after the top of the quote unquote
Harvard student.
A rich girl from Manhattan. There's something about that, and getting that. I'm sure there's some dark dudes doing dark stuff with kids out there. I mean, nobody's talking about.
Along those lines, I think part of it is that if you're these people, you're amoral. I don't think you're believing in an afterlife, or if you do believe in an afterlife, you belong to some demon creature that you think that your evil is benefiting you, even in the unknown, right? They're not playing by our rules. So I think once you exist in that reality where you're not playing by our rules, and your entire life is about getting power, you want to feel that power. Like, what's it worth if you have it, but you don't get to actually feel it, right? So it's the moments where you kind of do this stuff that you and I can't comprehend why people would do it. But I think that's part of it, is like it's like the actual physical expression of the power that they've managed to accumulate.
Yes, 100%.
You always say this. Why wasn't there little boys?
I do think there's little boys. I think they're trying to keep that out. I think there's so much control of the story. I mean, I brought it up to the guys on what was it? I brought it up on Union of the Unwanted. I go, do you guys remember when somebody testified that Bill Clinton never fooled around with them? He only fooled around with the boys. And I asked them, they're like, I don't remember that. I'm like, dude, I remember reading that. Good luck finding that now because they're 1984ing everything.
You know what? The cigar tube thing starts making sense when you say that, because only a gay guy would be so mystified by a chick. He's like, I guess I'll put a cigar tube in her pussy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a guy who doesn't like women. You put your dick in there. What are you doing?
But then it also gets to like if you get into spirituality, what women represent, and this notion of like degrading sex with them is like taking the Madonna and degrading them. There's something to that. But we had a guest on that told us why they do this occult thing. Why do they worship Bathment? Why do they worship all this? Now, I've had people on shows going, they flip Bathment isn't what they made him evil. He's not. I don't know, man. But based on what I know of these people into occults, which is my argument whenever I get on a show with somebody who's like, Jew World Order. I'm like, it's not Jew World Order, dude, because when you really study these people, they do so much occult symbolism behind what they're doing. Like Jeffrey Epstein, everyone's like, oh, he was a Zionist. But you study what he does, it's nothing but dark arts occult symbolism everywhere. Like, that's the real shit. They do sigil magic. They have to put it out. The Judaism that they supposedly do is just so they can walk amongst us. The real shit is the power of the dark. Now, magic isn't dark. It's like electricity. It's how you use it. There's people who use it for dark meanings, man. And those people, when they study this occult, esoteric stuff, is like they believe, and this guy said to me, and it makes total sense to me, he goes, they study these religions, and these religions all believe in reincarnation, and they do all this stuff to appease these gods. So when they come back reincarnated, if they did it right, they come back as a royal. That makes sense to me. I mean, it sounds crazy.
All right, this is why that's so crazy to me. I grew up very religious. I grew up Orthodox Jewish, super religious. I was super into it for a stretch of life. And you're kind of like this, like the whole the thing of faith is you're like, all right, so I'm going to restrain myself and do good deeds so that hopefully I get more in the afterlife. But the faith that you would need to have that, hey, I have to do this horrible thing to another person to appease this God, that's like flipping the entire religious structure in a way that, like, unless the demon was in front of me and actually said, hey, this is an absolute. Like I'm saying, like there were days that, I didn't turn on fucking light bulbs on the Sabbath, and I wanted to, or I wanted to eat something that was not kosher, but I was like, I got faith that I'm going to be punished because God doesn't want me to do that. Or that's the way most of us experience faith, is you go, hey, I'm going to do this immoral thing, but I'm going to restrain myself because I believe in goodness or I believe in God. Can you imagine flipping that where you're a person, you're like, oh, I don't want to abuse this kid, but I know that God wants me to, so I'm going to do this terrible thing on behalf of, like, that is like a different level of faith that I can't imagine somebody would have unless the actual demon thing stood in front of them and like it was an absolute.
Well, I mean, there are people who say they see these demons.
I think so.
But also, dude, it's like if you want to get somewhere, right? You want to get somewhere. Let's say you're a stand-up and you want...
I just got to sacrifice 3 kids. What are the 3 kids? Let's do it. Will I get stage time at the Cellar?
Boom. Where's my those 3 kids? Tonight show? Right?
Just make it real typical. Just say rapper.
Yeah,
you're a rapper.
Oh, I mean, like, but let's take a look at this, dude. So if you want you want to be famous, right? And it's Johnny goes back to those Island Boy video that kid was talking about, right? And
I suck up Johnny Carson for a spot on the Tonight Show in those days.
Right, dude? Yeah, I mean, it would change it. Like, dude, how many people would sacrifice somebody to get on Rogan 3 times? How many would you do? Because if you do Rogan 3 times, you're probably selling out a theater at that point.
If you have any kind of charisma.
Right?
Yeah. People would do it to be those Island Boys.
Right? Well, the Island Boys supposedly said, but if you listen to him, like he said, I want to do it for fame and fortune, so let's expand that out to just anybody, right? And you're like, these people control everything. They're like, if you do this, this, and this, you can have access to all this amazing stuff. And in the rap community, it's about like down low brothers, man.
And my
you hear it
hunch
all the time.
My hunch on this is that the people who are granting those things and convincing these people to do these things have a lot of power in this plane, in this world, and they can show you results here.
Yes.
Enough to make you have that kind of faith that he's talking about, make you believe. And then they can say, okay, now they start teaching a sort of like a liturgy, you know, like a real belief system that I don't think actually delivers in the long run, you know, over reincarnations or in future lives or whatever it is. That's the trick, I think, is the big trick.
And and Johnny, you also said something that resonated with me about you can't sell your soul. That like this is more about just the theatrics of it to the people that can make or break you. So if you think you sold your soul, that means that you are kind of open-minded to doing what they want you to do.
And what's the difference anyway? If you think you've sold it, if you tell somebody you've sold it,
but the actual act of doing it, I don't think your soul is for you to sell.
But if you live in such a way that someone owns your soul, it's effectively the same. It's, you know, it's de facto soul selling.
So if you get pit, I mean, like, dude, when you watch that fucking Scientology doc and they're like, then I got to the final level and they handed me his fucking scribbles and it was like, he's just dick doodling, right? And you're like, what am I going? Well, why take that from Scientology to put that into making it in Hollywood? And how many people like do this thing with this quote unquote, oh, they sold their soul. And they get to a certain age, they realize they got everything they want and they're miserable as fuck. But they played the game. That's kind of what you do. So you do all this dark shit, all this dark stuff. And like, you know, blood sacrifices. I mean, like people think that's crazy. I hear about it all the time. And if you're told, hey man, if you do this, this, and this, you'll be reincarnated and you'll come back as a royal, you'll be a Rothschild. You'll be a British royal. You'll be a Rockefeller. Like that means something.
Especially if you're told that by somebody who's already given you fame and fortune, you know, in your life.
Have you seen it's all over YouTube? It's like they poke their finger and then they write into some book and they write it down. And it's got millions of views and reposts, and you got to repost it to be part of it. It's like it's one of those things where like watch out what your kids watching and posting because
that sounds like it's from, you know, mob movies, right? Isn't that, you know, like Sopranos and The Godfather where they prick their finger?
When I was growing up, you'd be blood brothers with somebody. You cut your hand, you guys would be like, you know, like a Rocky movie and high-five each other.
Imagine if you got a fucking HIV like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get into that in a few because we want to talk Corona here, but
it's dark, actually.
You know, it's just like you see it happen all the time, man. You see these people playing these games, and you know, and this Epstein stuff's very interesting, dude. There's a lot Epstein. There's a lot of control. You know, there was stories going around. I forget who was telling me the story. I think it might be Mel K, but I'm not quite sure. But she was telling me that Epstein used to meet with a bunch of New York City comics all the time for brunch.
What?
Yeah.
Do you know who's in the circle?
Well,
of comics.
I mean, if I had to guess, I could tell you. Listen,
Name names. Let's hear this.
Well, I mean,
Seinfeld.
I mean, dude, you know Michelle Wolf was on those fucking flight logs, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I never heard that. That's fucking awesome.
She's
fucking awesome. I love how you're
She's
stoked.
on those flight logs, dog. And she, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things going on with the Netflix stuff. Netflix is dark, bro. Netflix is really fucking dark, dude. And I'll tell you why. Because I think Netflix, I get very nervous for some people. Netflix builds, what's the word I'm looking for? Expendable brands. And you take a look at these comedians, right? They all got blown up and then they all got clipped. And you're like, what did the industry lose by clipping these guys? Nothing. But they're big enough to resonate with people. This is all part of the game that goes on, dude. And
well, who do you think Netflix is interesting because they had the Obama tie-in with net neutrality that they then gave him a big payout for. Do you kind of know what I'm talking about on that one?
Yes,
I can break
he had the balls to do a fucking a series on China factories in America while the whole time trying to pass the TPP.
No, but oh shit! Did someone just freeze there?
No. I was just gonna let you go.
Oh no. So the net neutrality is crazy that they were convincing people that we might need it, but that would essentially give the government more censorship control over the internet. It would make the internet kind of like what we used to have with the radio with the FTC. So one of the biggest winners, though, in a net neutrality type environment would be a Netflix, because about like 40 to 60%, I think, of evening traffic is basically just Netflix and people streaming it. Right. So if they created like a pro rating system where essentially people that are using more of the internet bandwidth, like Netflix, would need to basically pay for that, it almost helps Netflix if they've gotten in with government to basically government to come in and say, hey, listen, we're going to, be in control of how much bandwidth companies can use. Because for one, you might be able to block out other companies. And for two, Netflix can make sure that they're not going to be charged more for it. Obama tried pushing the net neutrality stuff, and it seemed very similar to the Al Gore deal. If you guys remember, Al Gore basically made a ton of money. It was off Al Jazeera. Essentially, he helped out the cable companies, and they just gave him like a free channel that he cashed in like a major way. So anyways, to kind of go full circle with Netflix does seem to have a pretty heavy tie-in with the Democratic Party, with the Obama payout from, what he tried to do for them with net neutrality, with David Letterman's show, and with some of the other stuff on that network. But then sometimes I see the programming on Netflix. I don't even have a Netflix because I'm too much of a maniac. If I have a password, I'll spend the whole day lying in bed just watching shit. So I had to get rid of my Netflix. But sometimes they have things on there. Like they did you guys see there was a movie about a year ago with Brad Pitt about the Afghanistan war? Any of you guys see that one?
I didn't see it. Did you see it, Johnny?
I remember that, but no, I didn't see it. No.
It wasn't a great movie, but it was basically about a general being in Afghanistan and just kind of recognizing that there's no clear agenda for being here and that he just keeps on pushing for more troops. The reason I bring that up is just I was almost surprised that movie got made because it was such a against the deep state and against the war machine agenda. So sometimes like there's things on Netflix that exist there that I'm almost like, why would the powers that be allow this? Like sometimes it almost seems with Netflix like there's less censorship over there, and it's almost interesting that some of the programming that's there is allowed to be there. So I hand it back to you just to go, if you had to say who the evil powers that be are behind Netflix, like I can't ever really tell what team they're playing for.
Well, they have to play a little game, dude. They have to, when I do stand-up, dude, I do 2 for me, 1 for you. When I do, or like 3 for me, 1 for you with the crowd, I always got to do 1 for the crowd. One simple, digestible joke that isn't pressing them all the time, just to kind of stop them from being on their heels the whole show, right? Because I'm constantly, I think that's kind of what happens on these streaming services. They're always bombarding us with this propaganda stuff. Occasionally, they have to put out something that it gives them street cred, right? Like a great example is Dope Sick. Dope Sick. Have you seen Dope Sick on Hulu? Dude, you want to watch something that is extraordinary, and you have to be like, who greenlit this at this time? Because if you watch Dope Sick, it is the complete utter playbook for the coronavirus and the vaccines.
Ooh.
Watch Dope Sick and then tell anybody who's like, why would doctors do that? Doctors are smarter than you. Doctors got the skill for this. Doctors would never do that. Go watch Dope Sick and you see how they get manipulated, dog.
It's a whole complex of the FDA, pharmaceutical companies, and doctors that are all in bed fucking you.
Well, it's not that doctors are necessarily fucking you.
Dude, a lot of man, a lot of them took that money. They took that money, dude, and they knew what they were doing.
I just don't want to say a broad stroke. I'm going to tell you that they are being psyoped constantly, dude.
They're a target too, for sure.
I think they're in the system. I think it's very difficult when you're in a system to question structures. And so most doctors, they get their marching order from the doctor above them. That's essentially getting it from the CDC. They spent a lot of years to be in this system.
Yeah.
It takes a very unique personality to question systems and go, wait, why is the chief resident doctor here giving me these orders? Can I actually go read these documents? It just takes very unique personalities to do that. And like most doctors, I think some just wanted a good job. Some actually wanted to heal people. But it's very unique individuals that actually will question structures.
Yeah. That much time in college, too, is enough to be brainwashed thoroughly.
Mm-hmm. Wait up. Dope Sick's dope, but let's not forget when they took the fat L. Don't forget when they gave us that fat L and they didn't care about us was when Cuties. Remember when Cuties, when we all told everybody they lost money?
That's the 3 for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one that they didn't give a fuck.
No, 3 for us, 1 for you.
They didn't give a fuck.
No,
they
I
didn't
think
care
that was
how
one
much
for them.
Yeah, no. So 3 for, okay, when I do stand up, it is 3 for me, 1 for you, right? That's how I do it. Okay, so Cuties falls under the 3 for Netflix. The one for you was like Duncan Trussell's Midnight Gospel, right? Yeah. Like that was for you. And then it did so well. And the fact they never heard back from them lets you know that they were like, whoa, this is not what we want to put out, which is propaganda. Now, it did have some esoteric / cult stuff to it, occult stuff to it.
He didn't design it.
But, man, that was a really empowering show that they were like, okay, we're not bringing this back.
On your the 3 for me, 1 for them. One of the things that I hate is like fake edgy in comedy. So an example of that would be when Jon Stewart was on Colbert and he was talking about the lab leak theory. And I'll give Jon Stewart credit for being funny there, but he was 6 months too late. And they're both playing it like, oh my God, what a dangerous opinion. Like it would have been dangerous 6 months sooner. By the time he hit that story, it wasn't dangerous. I think that even American pop culture likes the idea of like a George Carlin or a dangerous comedian or someone telling us the truth. And so they love putting up people that pretend to be that, but still within the box of normal. And I think Netflix has a little bit of that with some of the big time comedians that they're putting up on their platform.
I totally agree with that. I think they really like outlaw in theory. Okay. In theory, they like that. So what would happen was like, I always say this, like, outlaws create something, right? And then once it becomes profitable, the bean counters come in and they sterilize it. So, you see it with music.
It's Elvis doing black music.
Yeah, right. It's also like country music. You can say whatever you want about old school country. I put old school country fucking musicians up against any gangbanger rapper in terms of shadiness and not giving a fuck and willing to kill anybody at a drop of a hat.
The old outlaw stuff.
Right? The old outlaw stuff. And then what happens? These country music guys come in and then they fucking take it over.
Nashville.
And then everything is sterile because you start doing art for the suits and not for the people anymore. That's what happens. Look at the UFC. Look at stand-up comedy. How many fucking suits love to celebrate Patrice O'Neal? That's all they do. All these motherfuckers are celebrating Patrice O'Neal. And then, dude, they're so quick to cancel motherfuckers at the same time. You would be canceling Patrice O'Neal if he was around today saying the exact same things he was saying before. You would totally cancel him. All you fucking bootlickers who do stamp in LA talk about how Patrice O'Neal is the greatest comic of all time. You would cancel him in 2 seconds if you thought it would get you a fucking gig on a channel. You would do it. You love it in theory. You love talking about Carlin. You love talking about Richard Pryor. You love talking about Sam Kinison. But in reality, you can't fucking stand that because all you want to do is do corporate shit for fucking money. And I don't hate money, bro. We all need money to go, but it's art first, money second. Okay, that's how it goes. You guys are all money first, art second, and that's where art went to shit. Art, and we see it right now in comedy is always first. Now it's business in general. We are now seeing, which brings us to our next thing, the Fed. Okay, but business now is not about the customer. It is about the fucking owners of the company, which is the same thing entertainment became. They stopped doing entertainment for the customer. They started just trying to make the suits fucking happy. And that's all it was. And the suits worked for a corporation and that corporation also owned all the advertisers. It's a shell fucking game. Dude, ratings are complete, utter bullshit. It's all complete bullshit. It's all bullshit. The people own the people own the networks, also own all the corporations that are advertising, and guess what else they all the press that will tell you how amazing this show is. They just make up numbers. They make it up. Nobody cares because it's all about propaganda. Dude, fucking ratings are a giant psyop. Oh, you remember how they get ratings? Nielsen ratings. Who knows a Nielsen person? Maybe once in a while you'll meet one. They're like fucking that crab boy, right? Who's got those weird crab hands.
I was in Nielsen,
yeah. I was in Nielsen. Listen, you sound traumatized, bro.
Well, dude, I honestly got a thing in the mail that said, hey, you want to do this? And it came with $20 in cash in an envelope. It was so weird, man. And I...
you got paid $20?
Well, like, just, they sent an envelope with $20 cash in it. Like, I mean, isn't that bizarre? Nice. It's really bizarre,
and
right?
That's because most people, it's a persuasion tactic that most people don't want to take free stuff because they feel guilty, like they owe you something. So if they send you the $5 and say, hey, this is yours, you can keep it, but we'd really appreciate if you would do us the favor of doing the survey, there's a percentage of people that will feel, oh, you know what, I owe it to them to do the survey.
And then, but they wanted to send the Nielsen box to go on my TV that would, like, see everything that I'd watched.
Yeah, because there's some percentage of people that after just receiving $5 to $20 will go, you know what, a box isn't that intrusive, and these nice people send me $20 in the mail. I mean, there's a ratio. It might be 1 in 100 that gets that envelope, but there's some guy who will just, and by the way, you want good ratings, the one guy who's compliant or dumb enough to just go, you send me $20, sure, you can put a box in my home. Does that give you a good picture of what most of the country's watching? There's no way.
Or how about polls? A poll show. Who'd you poll? People with landlines? Yeah, like they have anything to do with society anymore, right?
You know how radio works? They give random people this little radio thing, and if it's playing, it's playing. Who the fuck are they? I don't know.
Which is why Christmas music crushes it, because at a certain time of the year, everywhere you go, it's fucking Christmas music, right? It's just crazy. But this is where the Fed comes in, man. Do you want to get into... Listen, dude, when you start talking about... I just started learning about environmental, social, and government scores. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I when everyone goes, what's going on with society? Like, it's gone crazy. No, it's all manufactured astroturfing bullshit ran by 3 companies, one in particular, and it's not the one you think it is. There's someone above that company, dude. Everyone thinks it's BlackRock. I think it's Vanguard, dog. I think Vanguard is like the Royals, the fucking Rockefellers, the Rothschild, the Passars. That's who is Vanguard. Right? And Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street own up to anywhere from 20 to 30% of every major company in the world, bro. And I want to get into the ESGs that you were talking about on the show, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. So ESG scores is essentially a way for them to institute socialism and a style of socialism that none of us would ever vote for, would ever agree on. But they're doing it. They're instituting socialist agenda, which includes things like, are you promoting enough women, right? Or is your company making investments in green energy? It's like a bunch of stuff that would generally be kind of woke culture. Not that you shouldn't promote women, or if you think you can make money on green energy, or you actually think it would help the environment, you shouldn't go do those things. But it shouldn't come from a centralized top-down government approach. And so what they're doing is the largest corporations in the world have figured out that there are things that they can't make money on unless government compliance comes into the market and basically regulates that their investments would be profitable. So even today, I think Biden said by 2050, they're only buying, like, the entire federal government spending is only going to go to green energy and like electric vehicles and that kind of stuff. But here's where you get robbed. Here's where all of us get robbed. If a company has to go into the market and compete, they have to give you something of value, right? If a government order comes in and says, hey, you have to buy energy from like this windmill down the road. So now let's say energy from that windmill down the road cost me $5, whereas gas would have cost me $3. So every single time I go purchase whatever amount of energy would get me 30 miles down the road, I'm being robbed $2. That's what happens when we create regulations that instead of going into the market and competing and giving people something of value, government comes in and it makes a law. And that's why corporations love these laws. It's because it guarantees them profits. So the biggest banks in the world are working alongside with the Fed to basically create rules that guarantees that investments will be profitable. And those investments rob all of us of wealth on a daily basis because it removes competition and goods and services that have to, actually give you something of value. Can I go a little bit deeper on the Fed stuff, though? Because it is kind of interesting. But I want to pause there. I just said a whole bunch of shit.
Keep going, dude. Keep going. I'm all about that action.
All right. So first is you got to understand that the Fed is an evil institution. Just off the bat, you have to understand that the Fed is an evil institution. It is owned by the big banks. It works there so that the big banks can bail themselves out, give themselves money. The entire system is rigged where like people look at, Goldman Sachs and go, hey, you got these big evil banks and they're ruining the economy or they're stealing us. Like Goldman Sachs is the Fed. They're one and the same. They've created this fractional reserve banking, which, basically I don't want to get too much into details. I could go all day on this stuff, but anyways,
bro, because that's why I wanted you on. Because
all right,
this is the like when you hear Ron Paul complain about the Fed, it didn't dawn on me until very recently when I heard BlackRock buying up all the property. I go, oh, now they don't even care if you see it.
So the starting point, just to kind of understand the issue with fractional reserve banking, is you have to just think about counterfeiting. What's the issue with counterfeiting? If I had a machine in my home and I could print, $1 million and go spend it tomorrow, what's the issue? I'll hand it back to you guys. What's the issue with doing that?
Inflation overall, right, depending how much you're going to, how much you're going to print.
It's theft through inflation. Right. Fractional reserve banking gives banks the exclusive ability to counterfeit money. Right? If you hand $100 to a bank can then go spend $900 against that $100. That's fractional reserve banking. They need a 10% reserve ratio, right? So I can't just go say, hey, here's $900. The bank is able to do that. Now, the issue with that is that the inflation, when you spend the money first, right, it has value. Once the money gets spent, it inflates the money supply and there's theft there. So what the banks are able to do is, firstly, every time money is handed to them, they're then able to create the reserve ratios and spend against it. But then when you also realize, so first is they've got the exclusive ability to create money out of thin air. That's the basis of fractional reserve banking. They don't have to compete with each other, right? They're never at risk of going insolvent because the Fed will backdrop. You know what I mean? You're never going to have a run on the banks. It's all insured. So they never have to worry about, we all are happily putting our money in the banks because we know that the Fed has insured it. We don't have any concerns about this. But then also every single time that there's a bank bailout or any single time money is printed, it's handed to the banks first. So just off the bat, the banks are robbing from us that they always have access to capital first. So when they spend the money, they're spending good money. And then from there, right, it erodes in value the same way as any money that's being counterfeited. So that's just kind of like the first basis for how fractional reserve banking doesn't benefit us. The other issue at hand here is you also have to realize that interest rate, it's a price signal, right? So basically the way kind of capitalism is supposed to work is we got this hive mind. Instead of just having one person make decisions for everybody, we're always negotiating about things like prices all the time. And people are able to have an understanding of what the value of money is. They can choose to save it. They can choose to spend it. We can all kind of make these evaluations, and the interest rate is a price of money. It's the price of, hey, what would I want to either be able to hold my money, get an interest rate, or spend it right now? So first is we end up in a socialist system here where we have centralized control over the price of an interest rate, which then all of the consequences of socialism, right, where you have top-down government control is instituted on the entire fabric of our society. And if you want to start getting spiritual about it, if you had a higher interest rate, if you had a natural interest rate, there's a need to spend. It's what we start calling the time value. It's what we call a time preference. But essentially, right, if there's a high interest rate, people have a desire to save because they know that their money is going to be more valuable in the future. When people are saving, they're less compulsive. Right? When people need to spend money right now because they know that it's going to be worth less in a year because of inflation, or there's nowhere that they can place it that they can earn a return, everyone's running around compulsively, nervous that their money's becoming less valuable and spending. So as an institution, the Fed kind of spiritually corrupts the fabric of our entire society because people can't make sound economic decisions, for one, because they're distorting the most important signal, which is the price signal. And two, they're incentivizing all of us to go out and spend money and live compulsive lifestyles. I'll pause there for a second.
Well, I totally agree with that. And also what it does is it creates a system of corporate socialism where if BlackRock, so I think one of the biggest daggers in the theory that Donald Trump is a white knight, I think he's Godzilla. That's my opinion. Like, he's going to fucking battle these other monsters that you're afraid of, but he will destroy Tokyo in the fucking meantime, right? The the biggest dagger to him being a white knight is him putting all these BlackRock people in all over his administration and allowing these guys to run the Federal Reserve.
So can I tell you the conspiracy kind of behind that?
Yeah.
All right. If you're in charge, you want the system to remain not just solvent, but you want economic growth. Now, we have an issue in this country that we've basically had low interest rates for a very long time. We've also had the Fed pumping a lot of money into the stock market through quantitative easing, which is why if you look at the stock, but look at a chart of the stock market, growth in the stock market against Fed money through quantitative easing, and you start realizing why the stock market is priced the way it is since basically the last recession. If you're the president, you need the Fed on your side because basically you don't want a recession or depression on your watch. And at least we're in a slightly different environment here, which I can explain. But back when Trump was in office, you need interest rates to remain low because the same way that these presidents have an incentive to spend as much money as possible because the debt's going to be somebody else's problem, right? So if you're in office now, you want to get people free healthcare. You want to promise your constituents a wall, even if you don't end up building it. You want to be able to send them checks in the mail. You want to spend as much future generation money as possible because it keeps you in power, it makes people happy with you. And so part of that is a low interest rate, somewhat fuels the stock market. And then, I mean, the ramifications down the line are the inflation that will come, which you hope happens under somebody else's watch. So your point was you were saying with Trump that he was kind of putting all these people into power. That was kind of the complaint?
Well, the complaint was that he put BlackRock in charge of the Fed. You remember when everybody was like, oh my God, Trump took the Fed over. Who'd he put in charge? The fucking BlackRock people. But just hear me out on why I think this is crazy, because what are we seeing right now? That BlackRock is buying up property value, buying up all these properties 20% over value. And what does that do? That means that BlackRock, you're competing against BlackRock, which is using the trillions of dollars that the Fed gave out to all these corporations. You're competing against somebody using funny money. And it's just, if we get into this, like, I can understand like Trump playing ball. I could totally understand that, because who shot Kennedy, right? Like, getting rid of the Federal Reserve. It's going to take a nation, and I think we'll get there. Well, they'll be like, bah, 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 right? But if you take a look at everything that's going on in this country right now, if BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street basically own everything, right? They own a giant chunk of it, okay? And now they're curating I mean, let's just take show business. Show business is operating in a business that is not about money. They are losing viewers, they are losing money, and yet they just keep doing it. Why is that? Why is there no incentive to make money? Well, now they're seeing people complain because it's so obvious. You have stock people go, what the fuck is going on? But they can lose money because what happens? The people owning it at the top gets bailed out by the Fed. So the Fed is now making it so they can run business in a way that isn't good for business. What it is good for is cultural Marxism. That's what it's good for. That is the game plan. So the people who are running fucking the Fed are part of this movement to create cultural Marxism.
Which, by the way, but just to speak to that point, that's what I was talking about with the in a market, you have to provide something of value. So like in the entertainment model, so typically speaking, you would have to provide a TV show that someone actually liked. You'd have to provide good news coverage. That's all value. So we would actually tune in and watch it. When you distort the market where there's more money and being aligned with the Democrats and the Fed, best example of that was when companies like Coca-Cola got upset in Atlanta over like voting laws or something, or I think it was abortion. I don't even remember what it was. It was a couple months ago. But why would you alienate the entire conservative base to turn them off from your products? And the answer is because it's more important to them to be aligned with government and government spending.
100%. That is what we're talking about. That is why the Fed is so dangerous, right? That is why the Fed is so dangerous.
Because it's socialism. There's all of a sudden there's money and not going out into the market and offering something of value, right? And okay, by the way, can I tell you something else crazy about the whole BlackRock
real
thing?
Quick. I would love to just yell at everybody on stage. I would love to yell at everybody on stage, go fuck yourself, you fucking fucks, for 1 hour. Just scream at them. But guess what? No one will come to my show. But what if somebody came into the comedy club, bought the entire club out and all the alcohol, do you think I would get booked everywhere all the time? 100%.
And pay someone to laugh and pay people to laugh and critics to go, hey, this is genius.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I'd love to spend my career doing that.
Right?
I'll join the CIA. Write me those checks.
Yeah, so that's exactly what's going on with Hollywood. Like this thing with Santa Inc. It's like the only reason Santa Inc. gets made is because it plays into the game of cultural Marxism, which is divide and conquer, getting everybody to fight with each other. Study cultural Marxism. First, you'll Google it, and you'll see anti-Semitism 1,000 times because they don't want you looking into it. But what if you're grown up enough to look past that and just know those are buzzwords trying to scare you, and you look into it, you'll start seeing it's about fucking making everybody fight with each other, demonizing the ethnic majority, pushing up the ethnic minority, celebrating and promoting alternative lifestyle, causing fights between men and women, causing fucking destroying the nuclear family. That's what it's all about. And watch what's happening in real time. Have you watched commercials lately, right? I mean, like, guys can't wipe their own asses without the mom helping, right? Everything. Good luck finding. And listen, dude, I don't really care. I'm happy everyone's booking. Good luck finding a white couple in a commercial, right? I mean, but no, you'll find fucking 1,000 drag queens selling everything. Like, who are you advertising to? There's not enough of them to carry your fucking business unless you don't care about business because you're getting fucking bailed out by the Fed.
And don't forget,
sorry, go ahead.
And don't forget interracial couples with an Asian kid. There's a lot of that on that.
See, entertainment to me is unique in that they have other motives with entertainment, and remember, it used to be you would have like subliminal messaging and things like that. So it does have to be seductive, at least in some way, for them to get the. And I think what you're seeing now is that they found that kind of brainwashing thing wasn't as valuable as they thought maybe. And then now they're just like you said, they've got.
No, I think they've cranked it up to so crazy right now because they're
right. But what I'm saying is, like, if it's all shit like you're talking about and nobody's watching it, then how it's less effective at delivering. It's not a Trojan horse anymore.
So it goes back to, like, why does Dope Sick on there? Because they got to reel you back in.
Exactly, and that's what I was gonna say. That's why you do have quality programming gets in there sometimes. It's because once you get in that mindset, once you're in that sort of like, I'm flipping channels now, then you're there,
Right. And then you're right.
Then they get you with that other
But
shit.
then it's like, is it too late? Like, I mean, Netflix got a bazillion people on it, but is it going to be able to compete with, once they figure out how to make it real easy for like independent artists to make movies, it's fucking over. How are they going to compete with that? The minute you have a fucking suit that gives you a note on what they think the fucking advertisers want, that product is no longer the best product it can be. When you're worried about what fucking a suit at an advertising company thinks, you're no longer giving the audience what they want. And what's happening in, let's say, comedy, people like Legion of Skanks, Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz, this show, what they're doing is creating a system. Doug Stanhope is a big part of that. Is creating a system in which people who want to do real, authentic shit can now thrive and make money. Ryan Long is like that, right? And like, how can you watch something that Ryan Long is doing or watch Joe Rogan have a long 3-hour meaningful conversation and then turn on The View? It's not happening. Yeah. It's not, dude, they're dying and they're learning it. And the only reason they haven't gone quicker is because the suits can't figure out how do they still have a job in this.
And you don't think that's what Dope Sick is a way to keep you into Hulu?
100%.
Every once in a while, we're going to give you some good shit.
But even that, I'm like, at this moment in time, that could be the dumbest thing you put out. It literally shows you the game plan of the CDC and the pharmaceutical companies to get everybody to take the vaccine. And it's unbelievable. It's the best show. There's no more important show to watch right now.
I totally agree. Yeah.
But that's what I think, because last month it was Squid Games. Next week it'll be some show on HBO. So it's a way to get you to fucking subscribe to all these
Squid
motherfuckers.
Games are completely different.
No. What I'm saying is like how there's always something good on everything, and it's always at different times. in a way how they're trying to get you to like
but
subscribe to their shit.
This, I mean,
Dope Sick's way different.
Well, it just almost seems like a mistake. You know, I mean, like they fucked up.
But like back to what Robert was talking about, environmental, social, government policies, right? I mean, that's why you see like a million. Listen, dude, and I don't even care. Cross-dressers, trans, live your life. I don't care. Interracial couples, I don't care. I watch a ton of interracial porn, dude. I don't give a fuck. To each their own, as long as you're fucking happy. I don't care, okay? You know? I don't care. But when you just see, it's like, it's so weaponized. That's where the problem comes. Why is it so weaponized? Because it's cultural Marxism meant to get us all to fight with each other. That's what it is. And it's not natural. You know, there are, like, nothing's been natural since fucking the counterculture shit. Like, dude, after they assassinated JFK, this cabal came in and started fucking changing everything. And it's like, you know what else that coordinates with? Just after bringing the Nazis in. The Nazis came in. What fell? Russia. What fell? United States, dude. They just didn't make it as obvious because they wanted to co-opt our military, to turn our military into the banker stormtroopers. Now, if you fuck with the banks, guess who comes in? The U.S. military. When was the last time the military fucking... Did the military actually go after anyone who did 9/11? No. Did the military actually go after anyone who was behind the assassination of JFK? No. Did the military go after who sold the 2000 election and the 2016 election? No. No, they did. Or the 2000.
They were going to trade oil and gold.
Election. What?
I said they went after Libya because they were going to trade oil and gold.
Oh, but they don't go after North Korea.
U.S. dollar demand, baby.
Yeah, and North Korea.
They don't give a fuck.
You can say whatever you want about Q. I think Q was Stitchel magic. I really do. They were telling us what they were doing because they knew at the end we weren't going to do anything because we were waiting for a savior. But they told us exactly what they're fucking doing. And at the end, it was all about lowering our frequency when nobody came and saved us. But I think they woke up a lot of motherfuckers. And I think more and more people are making it. So shows like this, shows like Part of the Problem, are waking people up at a rate that the network cannot compete. They can't.
To go off that, I got another conspiracy for you with the financial system. But have you ever heard of the repo market?
No, what's the repo market?
Okay, so prior to the coronavirus, there was a big problem in the repo markets. And the repo market is essentially, it's repurchase agreements. So banks, they got the reserve requirements, which is that they need I believe it's 10%. But all of a sudden, the banks were having a problem where there wasn't enough money in the system for them to lend money to each other overnight and be meeting their reserve requirements. So what I mean by that is, like, let's go with Chase Bank. Your Chase Bank, and let's just say that you've got $10 trillion out there. Let's just go with fictional numbers. You got $10 trillion out there. So every single night when you close your doors, you need to have $1 trillion on hand. So every once in a while, it would happen where you realize, oh, we don't have $1 trillion on hand. So you'd call up another bank. They'd lend you, let's say, $3 billion. And now you can close your doors for the night. And then the next morning, you give them back their money. So you don't really meet your reserve requirements. You do a repurchase agreement where they're going to give you enough money for a single evening that you're going to hit your reserve requirements.
Holy
and then you're
shit.
going to give them back the money in the morning. Are you guys with me so far?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay. No, but it gets crazier. So that's the first layer, is that you start realizing in terms of bank solvency, it's not just that they don't have all the money that they're supposed to have at the bank, right? They don't even have that 10%. But now it gets a little bit crazier. Between all the banks, they don't have enough cash on hand to lend to each other overnight that the interest rate goes to 8%. So now if I'm lending money to Chase Bank for one night, what do you think the interest rate's going to be on that? I would say Chase Bank is pretty reliable, right? And I'm only handing them the money for one night. How much of an interest rate do I need? But the interest rate on those single evening loans goes to 8% because there's such a demand for money between the banks. So all of a sudden, now we're in conspiracy space. The Fed comes in and they basically do a new quantitative easing and they do a bank bailout. They don't talk about it, but they say, whatever you guys need, we're going to basically bail out this repo market. Whatever cash you guys need, we're stepping in. And so all of a sudden they start doing this. The system system is so basically broken that there isn't enough cash in the system for the banks to even hit their reserve requirements with lending each other money overnight, that the Fed needs to step in with new money so that the banks can be meeting the reserve requirements and essentially not have a run on the banks. And then all of a sudden coronavirus comes around, and then all of a sudden I think you have like the largest bailouts of the banks since the financial crisis, which includes that BlackRock receives special purpose vehicle money. You guys don't know what that is. It was an SPV, which is that the Fed has certain assets that it's not allowed to buy, which includes junk bonds. So they handed the money to BlackRock. BlackRock goes to buy junk bonds. They bail themselves out of their investments.
God.
And since the American public would not be okay with basically the banks getting another bailout, they send us all $1,000 checks. We're all at home in the coronavirus. Nobody notices that this goes on. That was last year. Now it gets a little bit crazier. I'll pause for a second because I said a lot of information. So I just want to make sure you guys with me here.
Yeah, we're with you. We're with you.
Okay. So a year ago, and by the way, I loosely understand finance. We're somewhat in conspiracy theory space, but you can go look this up. So a year ago, the repo market was so crazy that the Fed had to give money to the banks that they could close their books at night. Now, all of a sudden, we're in a new situation where the banks have so much money on hand and they don't want to lend it to anybody. So banks at their core, they should make money because they have excess reserves, and then they go out, they find investments, and they finance the investments, they make an interest rate. But all of a sudden there's so much money on hand that they invent this thing called a reverse repo, where they're parking money at the Fed overnight, I believe for marginal interest, because they need to get money out of the system. To me, this just paints a picture of essentially we don't have a solvent banking system anymore. It's a seesaw where sometimes there's too much money in the system, so they hand it back to the Fed. Sometimes there isn't enough money in the system, so the Fed just hands it to them. I think what's kind of going on with ESG and like everything else, we're coming to the end. And so the oligarchs, they're locking down the control over critical industries. I think that's somewhat the story with global warming. It's somewhat what's going on with ESG. We're in a little bit of a race against the clock with things like Bitcoin, with people becoming aware, with the system kind of going down, where I think they need to lock down control over critical industries so that they can kind of solidify their profits and kind of their control as we restructure. But I think from a financial standpoint, the entire banking system is essentially in an end stage of kind of just being insolvent.
I totally agree. I think but I don't know about you. I think we're entering a wonderful time of awakening. I think it's going to be really bumpy. I think there's going to be a lot of people freaking the fuck out.
Bumpier than the past 2 years?
I think you're going to see like, hey, dude, you can't get your money out of a bank. What's going to happen, dude? That's the big thing. Everyone's like, what happens if the internet goes down? And how are we going to do? Hey, man, ask Venezuela what it's like to try to get your fucking money out of a bank.
How much money do you think you should have at your house?
Oh, I would, the question
I'll just be honest on this. I'm lazy and retarded. So I've had this philosophy for 10 years. I had to every time I take out money from the bank, I do this. I'll be like, shit, I better keep cash on hand. And then I just spend it all on lap dances. So I'm a little too retarded to actually plan ahead. I'm that dumb, dude. Like, I'll take all this cash out. I'll be like, nah, I'm not going to spend it. And then all of a sudden you're drunk one night and you go to a strip and you're like, hey, here's my life savings. Can you make me come in my pants?
Well, I think you're retarded because you're still getting lap dances. I mean, chicks are slinging ass like it's fucking nothing. Like, take that money and go to a bar and meet a nice girl. And I mean, dude, women are wonderful now.
You're unvaccinated, right? You're unvaccinated, dude.
I'm one of those audits. I'll show it to the bar. I'll have 3 drinks. I'll walk up to some chick and go, hey, you want to hear about the Fed?
Yeah. Hey, dude, there's a girl out there that loves that stuff. You just got to find, everyone's got a soulmate, bro. But here's the question. The things you should have for sure are a generator, gold, silver, some cash on hand, and that's only if cash is still worth anything. Because if the whole thing crashes, you might as well just use that for toilet paper, guns, ammo, and then you should be growing food in your backyard
and a full tank of gas.
I think you should have multiple cans.
Or you're right. You always talk about having like a dirt bike. Let's go.
get a dirt bike. I want to get a dirt bike. I want to teach my daughters to drive dirt bikes because we might have to go. And then you're just going to be driving, pegging off dudes, trying to get you off.
Hey, that's the good thing about twins. One's driving, the other one's pegging fools off.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense. You know, I know you want to get the Golden Warm, but we gotta jam here in a few. So I want to get into backyard comedy shows. You know, it's kind of what I was talking about with stand-up. I'm assuming that's what it is. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with these backyard comedy shows.
Yeah, so a little while ago on my podcast, I started Summer Porch Tour, which is I put out there. I was like, if you're listening to the podcast, I will show up to your porch. I'll do an episode with you. And that kind of grew into doing backyard comedy shows at my fans' houses. And like, I got a whole rig now. I got a PA system. I got lights. We're good to go. And it's been a blessing for me with kind of Corona and what's going on in New York City. Cause like the dream for me for a while was, you know, was breaking into New York City clubs. There were certain clubs I worked for some junctures of time, but that was always still kind of the thing, was show up every night, try and get your stage time, work on your material, become, you know, work out those perfect acts, get on the road, do the whole thing. Now I'm kind of not really in at the New York City clubs. I'm almost like, fuck them. They got these vaccine requirements. Like, literally, fuck them. Like, why am I going to try and be a part of your thing? Like, it's turned gay. I don't know how else to say it. It's like this used to be like a world of cool people and we were badasses. And now everyone's so concerned with
bean counters.
What was that?
Bean counters. They come in and they talk all about outlaw shit, but they're really conformist.
Yes, I'm done with it. I'm done with trying to get into I'm just done with it. Not that like I was winning in that game anyways, but even the illusion of trying to do that, like it's not even cool to me anymore. So what I did is like I did this last year and I'm doing it this year as well. I went through, because I do my podcast weekly. I write jokes for it. I sift through the big themes and I'm doing like an end of year thing. It's kind of like almost my version of the Daily Show. I got slides and stuff. So I just did a run of about 15 shows. I did someone's basement in Schenectady. We had 30 fans that showed up for it. I got a friend in Maryland who's got a private bar. We did his bar. 50 people were there. Sometimes I can find venues. I bring I'm going directly to the fans, to the people. Summer Porch Tour all year long. I'm putting on shows in people's backyards, people's basements, living rooms. Like, I'm just doing it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be denied. I'm working on my shit.
Listen, Doug Stanhope was the guy. I mean, I'm sure someone did it before him, but the dude, like, and I've been doing comedy since 94. I've been doing comedy since 94, right? I mean, he was the guy who started doing these alternative venues on the road because he was so crazy and he just wouldn't play by the comedy club's rules. And here's the whole thing, dude. There are certain cities that I will play comedy clubs because I want to visit those cities and hang out. San Diego, Miami, I'm going to Tampa. But if you're not one of those cities where I'm going to do my own show there, and I'm going to walk away with so much more money than I would make playing a 3-day gig at a comedy club. And like, there's a lot of wonderful comedy club owners out there who I love with all my heart. And, you know, like the House of Comedy, I will always play the House of Comedy because they would give me gigs when nobody else would.
They're great people.
So they're great people. And there's some clubs out there I play all the time. But you know what? The other ones, it's like, I'm playing your room. Why? Why are you selling this many tickets and giving me this much money when I could go, and even if you're telling me half the people you got there, okay, let's say somewhere I sell 600 tickets in a weekend at a comedy club, and I would say half of them are my fans. If I do far enough out, I could go, hey man, $20 a show. It's on this date. We're 3 months out. I could sell 300 tickets, and then I get the door.
You should have seen last time when they offered free tickets for him. He almost flipped out right in front of us.
I just played this club. I'm like, what the fuck, man? It won't ever happen again. Because if I ever play a club again, I'll go, if you sell one free ticket, I will not show up. I won't even call you to tell you I'm not coming. You're just going to have an empty fucking room. And I don't give a fuck. And I'll go somewhere else and do a free show for everybody who came to your fucking show. So you're doing it. That's how you fucking do it, man. That's how you do it. Listen, you should never have a moment where someone's telling you what to do with your art. You control everything at every moment. And then, dude, they can figure out a way to make $1 off of what you're doing as long as it's not taking any of your fucking money. That's how I do it. I just did Salt Lake City, Boise. It's like unbelievable. Like, you're like, these people all see me. Why should anybody else be getting this fucking cash? I know the venue needs a little money. That's great. One more time?
No, I get that's got. What was that?
One more time. Sorry, you cut off right there.
Oh, no worries. For some of these, like, I like playing comedy clubs, and I get it. They got to run a business, but some of them, they got vaccine laws, so forget it. I mean, if you're going to be mandating that people have to have a COVID card, then, I mean, that doesn't, now it's a business decision. I can't go there. My fans can't go there. So that's out. And then other clubs, like, people just don't get back to me. Like, it's crazy with the, like, even when I'm on the road with Dave and I can tell them how many tickets we're moving, they just don't respond to emails. Like I did the Lincoln Lodge in Chicago recently, and that guy was super cool. He got back to me right away. I showed up. He greeted me. He was super nice. So like you got some clubs where the owners are still cool and they just get it.
Yeah.
But so many of them. They're just fucking cunts.
Well, there's also something like I have Dana for me. Like she deals with the suits. We call it sending the Jew, right? And she goes in there.
Yeah, I'm that person.
Yeah, and she goes in there and drops hammer on. And they have a totally different attitude when they're talking what they think is a suit.
I've seen it.
Compared to the artists. Because the artists, they're just like, oh, you're going to play here because you're desperate for the gig. When a suit comes in where they got money right in, there's like a whole different vibe. So, you know, that's my whole thing there. But you know what, dude? If they don't treat you well, don't go there. I've always said this 1,000 times. You don't need to go in anywhere. You don't need to be. There's plenty of people that never played a comedy club in New York that fucking blew up, or didn't play the Comedy Store, or the Improv, or the Laugh Factory in LA that blew up. You go where you're loved, man. And if someone's bending over backwards to get you there, you go do it. Maybe it might be a little jankier? Who gives a fuck? Does the microphone work? The lights are on, and then people are sat. That's all that really matters. I love playing comedy clubs, and for good comedy club owners out there, I love them. You know, the Miami Improv. I love the Miami. I'll go play there all the time. I'm not really a big improv guy, but Miami I'll go play because the staff there is really fucking nice. You know, they're really fucking nice. I used to play the Tampa Improv. They didn't want me, so now I'm playing Side Splitters. Super excited about that. I'm not going to go where I'm not wanted. I'm never begging anyone for a gig again, ever in my life. And I'm just like, Doug Stanhope is the model that I want to do. 300 people in a room. That's on one night. That's the goal. Anything above that, you're putting your head, in my humble opinion, you're putting your head on a block. You're putting your head on a block and you're hoping they don't chop it. You just, like, dude, I have no desire to get just a tiny bit bigger where it's 300 people in one venue like that. I'm getting the fuck out. I can go wherever I want. I can go to fucking, Buffalo Wild Wings and have a buffalo sandwich and not get bothered by people. Maybe one guy in Michigan recognizes me and when I'm at the bar, that's it. I don't want to live in a fucking prison.
No, I respect the hell out of that, and God bless that 300 goal. You're way ahead of me in this. I'm still trying to figure out how I can be getting up every night and working on jokes and getting like.
How old are you, dude?
33.
You're 33 years old. Oh, great. We're going to hear about this Illuminati shit because of that. But you are, dude. I didn't start making money in comedy, and this is going to sound absolutely insane to you, till I was 43 years old. I'm 49 right now.
How old were you when you started?
I started at 22.
Oh, wow.
I didn't start
you, man.
Really.
No, I respect the hell out of that. It means like that you love this and you fucking, you know what I mean? You did it.
I have no other skills. So this is it. And it was like, well, looks like I'm going to be the guy who could have done it and just couldn't stop shooting himself in the foot. And now here we are having this conversation. It will come, dude. You're building your system right now. And if you got everything you wanted, you'd probably fuck it up. So if every fucking level is fought for, you appreciate that level and you never want to go back to the next level. So everything is a learning experience. There's a reason why it takes so long to get it. And in comedy, the true masters are older. That's why everything sucks. Right. Because Hollywood wants you to think 22-year-olds know what they're doing because we all want to stick dicks in them, okay? You're like, oh, I'd love to fuck you. You probably know how to do stand-up. Nope. You don't know what you're doing. And they're so young that they think if they comply, they'll get some goal when they'll realize the goal isn't to comply. The goal is to burn down the system and do your own system. And that's what you're building. So just
no, I agree. And it's all about work. Like to me, I love working on jokes. Like it just brings me so much, like it's my favorite thing. Waking up in the morning, trying to find funny, trying to share funny, recrafting it, getting better at that. Like that's what I live for.
Well,
I love it.
The first time I saw you do stand-up was in Dave's show at Skankfest. And, I'm like, dude, you're the first one up and you just fucking hammered them. And I'm like, This is gonna be a great fucking show. You were a great writer, so you're on your way, dude. And I know you want the car and the action and all that stuff right now, but it's better to fucking get it when you're ready for it. Everything in life is a learning lesson for when the big shit happens, that you have all the tools to deal with it and you have appreciation of it. And that's big, because I can't tell you how many fucking cunts there are in comedy that fucking got it real quick and it never got effed out of them, that how lucky they were and how blessed they were. They thought they were the chosen one and they walk around like it. And guess what? What goes up must come down. How you treat people on the way up is how you'll get treated on the way down. And if you treated people like shit on the way up, no one will fucking put their hand out to catch you.
No, I agree with that 100%. I feel so lucky that I started, I think, like 24, 25, and I used to drink so much while I was doing stand-up. I mean, I'm still not like a sober guy, but like, I mean, I used to treat it like it was a party, and I'd be dead now. If I just hit like year one and I thought I was God gifts to comedy, I would have been doing, like, you know what I mean? I just would have been dead within a year.
Dude, it's all good in the hood, brother. You're
Absolutely
doing great. And listen, dude, I mean, stumble early. It's the best. I wish a million failures on you, brother, before you get that thing you want, because then you'll be ready for it and you'll have all the kung fu and all the defense and all the striking you need to take care of your shit. Rob, you saw, you crushed. I appreciate it. I'm so happy we could get you in sooner than later. Once again, tell them where they can find you.
RobbieTheFire.com/shows has all the dates. I got, when's this coming out?
This will come out next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. So go to my YouTube, Robbie the Fire, all one word. I will be filming like a little end of year recap, all jokes about all this stuff. That's what I've been working on for the last about 6 weeks or so, and I'm going to be cutting that up and putting it up on YouTube. So it'll be out probably just about the time this comes out. So that'll be. There you go. Find it right there.
Well, brother, I appreciate you coming on. Please email me any links you want me to include in the description so they can find you. And I appreciate you coming on. You're a G, and it was a wonderful. I could go on for hours, but I have to go see my kids. So I love you very much. I look forward to us gigging again. You're a great comic, and I love what you and Dave are both doing. So thanks a lot. And to you guys, I love you very much. And thanks for being a part of the journey. And I hope to see you on the other side of the year. I mean, I'm not doing any live shows after this, so we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. Love you guys very much. Thanks for support. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind. Tinfoil hack.